Hello, everybody. We'll just take one more minute here to settle in and give everybody a chance to grab their seats and their popcorn before starting the show. We have a couple more attendees arriving, so all right. Well, I'm excited to be here. Hello, everybody, and good evening. My name is Jason Linetsky, and as director of the Anderson Collection at Stanford University, it's my great pleasure to welcome you here for our third fall program with the incredible artist, Eamon Ore-Giron. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm grateful to our guests, and I'm thankful to all of you for joining us here this evening. Before we begin, I'd like to let people know that captioning is available for this program. We encourage you to click on the closed caption icon at the bottom of your screen to start viewing captioning. You can control and show subtitles and view the full transcript and adjust captions as needed by using the navigation buttons adjacent to that icon at the bottom of your screen. I would also like to take a moment to recognize that Stanford sits on the territory of Wechin, the ancestral and unceded land of the Muwekma Ohlone tribe, who are the successors of the historic and sovereign Verona Band of Alameda County. This land was and continues to be of great importance to the Ohlone people. We recognize that every member of the community has benefited and continues to benefit from the use and occupation of this land. Consistent with our values of community and diversity, we have a responsibility to acknowledge and make visible the university's relationship to Native people. Tonight, we're in for a joyous, music-filled journey, celebrating and showcasing Norteño, Tejano, and other regional and roots music from the Texas-Mexico border, as captured in the beautiful and thoughtful film, Las Fronteras, translated as Beautiful Borders. The themes presented here are just as relevant today as when the film was first released in 1976. While these musical genres have inspired the cultures and inhabitants of this border region for generations, they remain all too contemporary given the current political climate and attempts at erasure and walling off of cross-cultural, cross-national traditions. Eamon Ore-Giron, through his multidisciplinary work, reminds us of the value of ritual, of symbol and tradition, and the role each of us can play in helping to reclaim, honor, and decolonize. I thank Eamon, I thank you for sharing your time with us away from your position as Assistant Professor of Painting and Drawing at California State University, Bakersfield. And I look forward to your introduction of this film and the way in which you share the influences it continues to have on your practice. My colleagues at the Anderson Collection and our wonderful collaborators at the Institute for Diversity in the Arts could not be more honored to be hosting Eamon Ore-Giron. He was awarded Stanford's 2020-2021 Presidential Residency for the Future of the Arts and is developing an exhibition of new work for presentation at the Anderson Collection this coming spring. Our hope is that Eamon's relationship with Stanford and the museum becomes sustained and plays an integral role in the critical conversations we have about our collection, practices, and the ways we as a community use art to progress as a society. Please stay tuned for more information about the work that Eamon will be presenting at Stanford this coming spring. Again, for tonight, it's exciting that we are presenting a film, and a special feature that you have, thanks to Eamon and his generous invitation, is to chat with him during the film. There's a chat button at the bottom of your screen. We encourage you to share your comments live during this screening, and we hope that you take full advantage of that. I'd also like to encourage you to come up with questions and submit those questions through the Q&A feature, also found at the bottom of your screen. Eamon will address those at the end of the film. We're delighted to be presenting this documentary and extend our thanks to Les Blank Films for their permission to screen it here with you live. I thank Eamon, and in the Stanford tradition of providing a home for art artists and scholars who advance dialogue on contemporary issues, I'm honored to welcome our guest, Eamon Ore-Giron.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Stanford. Thank you for the Institute for Diversity in the Arts. I'm super excited tonight, you guys. This is a great, great film. I just want to, I'm not going to take up too much time, but just wanted to go over, the last presentation. I showed a clip from the film. I also showed a clip from Los Chapis, which I'll put into the chat as well. A film called En el Mundo de los Pobres, which translates to In the World of the Poor. And what the parallel that I see between these two films is music as a form of resistance, music as a form to tell a story that isn't told normally. I had the pleasure of meeting Salome Gutierrez, who shows up in the film with Flaco Jimenez when I went to San Antonio when I worked on the Phantom Sightings exhibition back in 2008. And this film, I've just loved it for a very long time, and I love a lot of Les Blank's films. A film that you might want to check out, and I'll throw this in the chats as well, is Del Mero Corazon from Les Blanc as well, and it was released in '79, so like about 3 years after this. So it was kind of like outtakes that he had compiled from the Chulas Fronteras filming, and there's some really beautiful stuff in there as well. He was a very pioneering filmmaker in terms of documenting music, and music means so much to me. Especially music with folkloric traditions and messages that he made Del Mero Corazon, and he made this film Chulas Fronteras, I believe after filming Fitzcarraldo with Werner Herzog, which he made another great documentary based on that experience called Burden of Dreams. That's right, Burden of Dreams. I'll put a list of films that you should check out. He also made another amazing, beautiful film called A Poem is a Naked Person. I will throw those into the chat. Yeah, and I just want to say thank you so much, and I'm super psyched, and I hope you guys all are comfortable and got a little drink and everybody's ready to roll. Okay, here we go. All right, everybody. Yay. That was Chulas Fronteras. There is another film called Del Mero Corazon, which is kind of like outtakes from Chulas Fronteras that I highly recommend. I don't know, Jason, did you want to pop in here? If anybody has any questions they want to throw in the Q&A, feel free. There is a clip I could show you guys from YouTube of Del Mero Corazon, one of my favorite little clips. If you guys want to see it, it's about 3 minutes long. But if anybody doesn't have Q&A, then maybe we'll do that. And unless you also have questions, Jason. Oh, I see one coming in. Okay, Vero wants to see the clip. Okay,
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Go ahead and show it. I think it was amazing. It was delightful to have the chat. So thanks to you, Eamon, for encouraging that, and to everybody for participating in it. I've only ever experienced sort of a Netflix party through my 9-year-old daughter looking over her shoulder, and this was super. So so thank you for bringing me in. It's awesome.
No, I'm so happy. This is really like such a pleasure. I love sharing this work with you guys, and these are images of the border that a lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
And that's how we find ourselves in this situation. But we all made it to November 12th, 2020.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think one of the things that really sticks with me in this film is, how beautiful those depictions of the border are, and how beautiful the people are, and how beautiful the sound is, and how delicious the food is, and and how celebratory it is of these traditions and this culture. And I think that's what we really need to be seeing more of, and I think we need to be thinking about it in that way. I mean, clearly it is there's a foundation of struggle that comes across. But I think that the joy that is present is very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And growing up in Tucson, I see this film and I think, wow, 1976,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really astounding that that's already almost what, 40 years, 50, 45 years ago.
Yeah.
And to me, and I think my sister's on this, and I think my brother is too, and they would probably agree, the border is a very different place, and it's transformed so much. And so it's nice to see this image, and yeah, through the struggle and everything, there still is just so much beauty and the transcendental joy of music. I would love to show you guys that clip. I'll just go ahead and jump in here. I'll share this screen. And this is an artist by the name of ANDRÉS Berlanga. And he is playing a bajo sexto, which is like the big 12 string. It's like a part bass, part guitar, 12 string. And yeah, it's just a really great, it's a minute 40. So we'll watch this really quickly and hopefully it won't delay too much.
En un tren pasajero salimos, tan volados parece al demonio. Otro día llegamos de noche a su casa que está en San Antonio. 20 días pasaron volados, 20 días que fue buen marido. Luego a poco resulto borracho, jugador, paseador y perdido. Yo pensaba que usted trabajaba y por eso ganaba los pesos. Que trabajen los bueyes, me dijo, porque yo la verdad no soy de esos. A la cárcel cayó muchas veces, hasta allí le llevé su comida, pero un día lo vi desde brazo, platicando con una querida. Enojada le dije, hace novio, es ya mucho lo que haces conmigo, me haces menos por otras cualquiera, y yo he sido muy buena contigo. Ya me voy a este pueblo maldito, donde quedan mis sueños dorados. Ya Zenaida se va para su tierra, a vivir con sus padres amados.
Yeah, wow. A beautiful, beautiful scene right there. Little Joe and Flaco Jimenez. So yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of ways I'm kind of obsessed with the troubadour like that. And let's see, let's look at the Q&As.
Yeah, there is a question about any sources that you might be able to share for information about major historical events that have occurred, especially in Texas, around the border and the history there, and sort of how can we learn more about it?
Yeah, so, my specialty is not so much corridos and norteño, but I do, like, one of my favorite groups is Los Relámpagos del Norte, which is the lightning bolts from the north. Relámpagos is Relampagos, Relámpagos. And that was the first band of a musician by the name of Ramon Ayala, who in a lot of ways I think bridged between Texas and California, like kind of popularized certain corridos talking about the West Coast. some of that. And so Relámpagos del Norte is like his early band, which is like from Texas and Tamaulipas in that area. And so that's one of my favorites. Los Alegres de Terran, which is in there, which I believe the singer of Los Pingüinos is part of as well. So a lot of these bands too, they shared a lot of different members, you know, like in any kind of music scene. So there's overlaps. Rigo Tovar, which I mentioned earlier in the chat, R-I-G-O, Tovar, T-O-V-A-R, Tovar. He was kind of more of like a crooner, and he played a lot of kind of música tropical, kind of romantic music from Tamaulipas and Nuevo León. And he was very popular in the border area. And there's a great documentary on his life called Una Confesión Total. I'm pretty sure that's the title. And he's kind of comes out of that scene as well. A little bit more tropical vibes, but very, very beautiful. Let me see real quick. Yeah, my sister, she commented in the Q&A too. It is important to remember what the culture was like before the militarization of the border. And it's super, like, to us as Arizonans, I think that that's like something that we can empathize with when we see the life in Texas or in California. I think Tijuana has experienced it for a very long time. But like, you know, to see the more rural parts of the border, like Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, you know, now we're in the throes of that, essentially, you know, and to see that transformation has been very heartbreaking. But that's something that's been happening over the past 25 years, 30 years. You know, Trump is just kind of this little, he's kind of the spearhead at the point of it now, you know, but it's been building up over years. Let's see, Fabian is an original Tex-Mexer. Yes, and Trump lost Arizona. Yes, Julio, it's true. We finally flipped it. I cried that night. I grew up in Tamaulipas, traveling to the border back and forth from childhood. My dad, the border is stronger. Where I can find more information about major historical events that occurred, especially in Texas. You know, there's, I think, I like I said, like I'm not a specialist in the Texas-Mexican border, and I'm sure Cruz Ortiz, if he's in this right now, could throw something in the chat. But there is, I'm trying to think of some good resources. You know, any of the University of Texas publications are all really, they document that very well. So I would check out, you know, try to look at the University of Texas's publications, like Mexican American history, Chicano history. Let's see, Pablo Cimental. Earlier you said that you consider Los Angeles the border. I think that's beautiful, never. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think Los Angeles in many ways is the border. It's an extension of the border. I feel like, I mean, just the name alone, and it shares all that history with, you know, California being previously Mexico. But I think it also is the border because it also accepts so many immigrants from Central America, and in some ways is more cosmopolitan in that sense than some of the border areas are. You know, you have more Guatemalans, Salvadorians, and people from South America that have transformed Los Angeles in a different way than, say, Tucson or Phoenix or El Paso or Nuevo Laredo. Let's see, we're getting some chats too. Let's check that out. Yeah, Texas in the house. University of New Mexico. Yeah, I think there's a lot of other people on this that probably have really good resources for that, Fabian, and privately we can both explore that. I'm sure Rafa and some other people that are a little bit more versed in the literature of Texas maybe could help us out on that. But hey, you guys, thank you so much. I'm so excited that I got to share this with you. We tried to do Los Chapis en el Mundo de los Pobres. The director I was very close to getting a hold of him, but it didn't come through. But there is a pirated copy on YouTube. So if I were you, I would look for that. En el mundo de los pobres, los Shapis, Shapis. That film and this film both really kind of, they're simpaticos. One is more about the history of Peru and its music. It follows a band that is trying to make it into the Peruvian music scene, and they're confronting all of the racism within Peru. And so I really think I see a parallel with Chulas Fronteras and in the influence that it's had on my music and my visual art as well. And Julio Morales is in the chat as well. And we went to San Antonio, met Salome Gutierrez, and we made a film based on the accordion, which, you know, I could do a whole other presentation on the accordion, which, you know, you hear so much in this film. And one quick thing I wanted to mention really quickly about this film, one observation is I really love the part where the radio disc jockey is talking about his experience driving down from Indiana, and then it segues into that kind of black and white, almost Ken Burns kind of like moment, where it shows farm workers through the Mississippi Delta and that area, because I think that is a really interesting kind of historical note that I think people on the West Coast don't totally understand, is how much of a connection and a gateway and history that area has had from Chicago all the way down to the Texas border. And so I think that's also like just a really beautiful part of the film, and where the origins of the Democratic, you know, Party coming out of like the Chicano huelga and the black sharecropper, you know, civil rights movement. So that, to me, that's a really beautiful, awesome point to see that in that film.
Do you know by any chance the source of those photographs? I mean, were they collected and by somebody,
know.
or they didn't seem to be authored in the credits or anything like that either? But I would, you know, I agree with you. It's a beautiful montage. I mean, and again, it reflects the joy and the struggle.
Yeah, and you know, Les Blank is interesting that way. Like, his films are almost kind of cult that way. They're, you know, he has another film called A Poem is a Naked Person. And that film was basically, you couldn't see it for a good 40 years. I happened to catch it like about 3 years before he died, he did a screening here in a backyard at a friend's party. And it was an incredible film, totally blew me away, about the music scene in Oklahoma, of all places, in the 70s. And just really cool, crazy blend of gospel and country. And so his liner note, you know, his films, they don't have a ton of that information. But I would imagine, knowing that he was in Berkeley, probably I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled stuff from, you know, Berkeley or, you know, or UCSF, or, I mean, UCSF. But I don't know. But it is really beautiful to see that, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I don't know. For me, this whole experience has been a really beautiful one, and I'm delighted again to have seen so much participation from our attendees. Thank you all for making this a really special evening. Eamon, I don't know if you have any closing remarks or any other questions you want to answer, but this has been really special, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. This has been a pure joy of mine. I don't know, I guess, you know, like, to me, it's been really nice to be able to talk about this side of my practice and to show all of this type of work. I think, you know, look out for more to come. You know, since the pandemic, this is kind of given a certain urgency to doing stuff online. So who knows, maybe we'll come up with some more stuff in the spring. But yeah, I'm really honored to have your guys' support and to be able to share all of this beautiful work.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And I mean, and to that, we definitely look forward to continuing to collaborate with you at Stanford, with the Anderson Collection, with the Institute for Diversity in the Arts. We certainly hope that there are opportunities for students to engage with you in a more direct way going forward. Fingers crossed for everybody across the country that school becomes a safe place to return to. Soon or soonish, or that it ultimately does. And I think that a lot of people are learning from these programs that we've been able to do with you thus far. And I agree, yes, stay tuned. We will be doing more come the winter, come the spring for sure.
Yeah, real quick, I want to give a shout out to Belinda in Bakersfield. She was mentioning in the chats, her father was a farm worker. Lots of my students, they come from that as well. And to my family and to Gabriela. Hey, everybody, Julio. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Jason.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much, Eamon. Stay
Thanks,
well.
Thanks, Amy.
See you all soon.